How's it going, everybody? My name is DuShaun, and today we're going to be looking at the Google Wi-Fi and why this may be a perfect fit for you. Now, the Google Wi-Fi is a nice device that works on what we call a mesh network. So the mesh network is all it is basically is just you're gonna have a lot of different routers that can actually connect to each other, but it allows you to expand your Wi-Fi capabilities as well as your Wi-Fi hardware, so that way you can be able to get signal throughout a lot of places. And today we're gonna be looking at how the Google Wi-Fi was able to actually solve one of my problems and talk about how this could be a perfect fit for you. So just to kind of explain my issue, me and my fiance went to a new place. And this new place is a lot bigger than the one that we were just at, and the router that I have that I got from Spectrum, this guy right here, doesn't nearly cover the amount of space that we needed to. So pretty much the master bedroom, master bathroom, and everything else on that side does not get the coverage it needs. In fact, we drop a little bit when it comes to streaming Netflixes and using our phones. So we needed something that was gonna move over there. Well, I couldn't really move the router over there because the best spot for the router to be was in my office here. That's where I was gonna guaranteed to get my 400 megabits per second. So we needed to find a solution to kind of bounce it over there so that way we can get some good coverage. But I also wanted to make sure that I at least got close to my 400 megabits per second, or at least good signal. One of the reasons why I'm not using a range extender or an access point is because a lot of times there's a lot of issues with those, and I feel that for everyday consumers it's not really intuitive to set those up. A lot of times you have to set up a new SSID, which is pretty much a new internet signal with a different name and everything that pretty much just rebroadcasts your current internet signal, but in a weaker state. Sometimes you'll lose up to 50% of your Wi-Fi ability just so you can have some internet over there, and to me that's not acceptable, especially because I'm paying for a high premium on my internet. So pretty much to kind of wrap it up, I want to get the dead spots out of my place, and I want to get some good speeds in those areas. Maybe not the 400 megabits per second, but I do not want to lag, drop my stream, or none of that stuff. So was the Google Wi-Fi able to do that? So I kind of actually want to explain the points of why the Google Wi-Fi may be good for you, and then I'll go ahead and get to the conclusion of my findings. One, because it's a mesh network, it's a little bit more reliable, and a lot of people don't have reliability when it comes to Wi-Fi signal. And one of the good things that the Google Wi-Fi has done for me is actually even guarantee better Wi-Fi in the areas I wasn't having any problems with. One of the great things about the Wi-Fi coverage though is that even my next door neighbor, which is a friend of mine, was able to jump on my guest Wi-Fi network. And that's a big deal because he was actually getting some impressive speeds for not even being attached to the main part of my network. He was able to get around 160 megabits per second, and while we were testing it out to make sure it would look good and all that, he was also able to play Overwatch without any lag, without any issues and stuff. And keep in mind, he's in like a different place. We're close together, sure, but all the walls in this place are cement, and it's really hard for Wi-Fi signal to be able to go through a lot of different walls, and it's even harder if the material that the walls are made from is pretty thick. So the fact that he was able to do that on my guest Wi-Fi, meaning that a lot of guests who come over to my place are going to be able to enjoy some really decent Wi-Fi. So the good thing about the Google Wi-Fi is that it is very expandable, and for people who know that one Wi-Fi router is not going to be doing for it, this mesh network allows you to put the NUDs, or pucks as Google likes to call them, to be able to place those anywhere. And one of the reasons why I was able to solve the issue with the dead spots was I was able to basically put a router in that spot, and it was able to connect with my existing router, basically sharing the same internet signal and producing the same internet SSID. For all my devices that were already trying to connect to the network, they were already able to just jump on. I didn't have to change the password. I didn't have to reset everything. In fact, the Google Wi-Fi uses the same password and network that you were already using. You're just replacing your old router with the new one. So that way you'll be able to not have to change anything in your place. And it's actually an easier transition than getting another router that will actually force you to use a different admin and username and all that stuff. And just to have one extra point point onto that, if you do have a house maybe that's very large and everything, pretty much you're able to solve the same problem. If you have some dead spots upstairs, you just take the same puck, put it upstairs, and just work great. If you have your internet upstairs and maybe your living room isn't having a good time, then you just put a puck in there and that be it. My third reason of why you should probably get the Google Wi-Fi for your house is because of how easy it is to set up. The Google Wi-Fi uses an app to be able to control the entire spectrum of the Google Wi-Fi. When it comes to testing internet connection, make sure everything works well, and be able to add more pucks to your already expanding network. So for the Google Wi-Fi, pretty much once you replace your first router with the Google Wi-Fi router and get it set up in the app, then pretty much you can just plug up the other pucks into a wall outlet anywhere in your apartment. Just plug it up and there you go, and then you just use the app to actually do all the hard setup. Once it recognizes that the puck is looking to connect, it's going to bring it into the family, and there you go. It just works out really well. So the fourth reason why you should get the Google Wi-Fi is because of the signal strength. Now this was also the second biggest issue that I had with my old Wi-Fi, is that I wasn't getting the best signal strength. So to kind of keep the bar, I was able to get 400 megabits per second. That's what I'm paying for, and that's why I want to try and get as much around the place. Now the unique issue with me is that I have a lot of devices. Right now I have about 24 concurrent devices connected to my Wi-Fi. So devices that are on my 5 gigahertz versus devices on my 2.4 were pretty much almost night and day in some aspects. Now some of my devices couldn't get on the 5, so it helped alleviate the 5 a little bit better, but I want good internet everywhere. I don't want it just in some places and stuff, and I want to make sure that it's all stable. So when I got a reference my friend able to use my guest Wi-Fi, that was on top of the 24 devices that already was having going. And if you look on the screen, you could kind of see how the test is going as I'm using the same app to be able to test the different Wi-Fi signal strength, or the megabits per second that were going to each individual device, and kind of just see just how well it's testing it, how much they're all getting and everything. So for the area that I have right now, that works out pretty well. And with the setup that I have, the 3 puck setup, pretty much anything that's under 4,500 square foot, so a lot of decent sized houses or a lot of good sized houses that you can get, are going to be within the range of the 3 pucks. So that means that you're going to be getting some good Wi-Fi for a lot of everyday customers. So that's pretty good for you if you think that your place is a little bit too big, or maybe you're even trying to get internet outside. This is actually a really good solution for that. And my 5th point, which is kind of like a little, nice point or whatever, but sometimes I kind of look at it as aesthetic. The puck isn't that bad to look at. Honestly, pretty much you can hide it almost anywhere. You just plug it up to a wall outlet, put it into the side, and not too many people are gonna know what it is. Just in case, a little tip for you, if you do end up purchasing this and the little LED light is a little bit too bright, you can turn it down on the app itself. So the app even does that kind of customization. The 6th point I do want to kind of mention on the Google Wi-Fi, and I think it should be known for parents yourselves, is that you can control some devices on a particular Wi-Fi. Basically, you could subset a portion of your Wi-Fi for particular devices to be on. So let's say if you got your kids, you got their phone, their game consoles, the computer, all that kind of stuff, and you want the Wi-Fi to cut out at a certain time at night to make sure that they're not on it all night, you can actually do that. You can actually go into the settings, set that up, make sure those devices connect to that portion of your internet, and put a timer on it. You could just pretty much kill it right at 9 o'clock, or you just go do it yourself. It works out really well, and I think that's a pretty good feature for parents that are just looking to control their kids' Fortnite habit. Now with the Google Wi-Fi, it's a really good device, and I feel like a lot of people should have it. However, there are some things I do want to make you aware of before you actually go purchasing it, especially some default issues that I feel like maybe some people who are just a little bit more savvy with Wi-Fi internet connections may not be able to get over. So one thing about the Google Wi-Fi is that because it's such a wide, expansible kind of network, it's also very expensive. The Google Wi-Fi 3 puck that I have right now is about a $300 unit. Sometimes you might be able to find it for $256. So I mean, that's a little bit better saving money. But let's say if you only wanted one, you would still be paying $130. And with that, there are a lot of different routers that cost about the same price, or maybe even less. Each Google Wi-Fi router is at AC 1200, and that's not too hard to find, especially a dual band AC 1200. And for $130, you actually, for you personally, have a lot to work with. So if you're in a small apartment, maybe 600, 800 square foot, the Google Wi-Fi will work really well in that kind of a space, but that might be a little bit much for something that you can get that works a little bit better, maybe have more features on it that you might like. It depends on how you kind of work with it. As easy as this is to use, maybe if you're not planning on actually adding pucks in the future and stuff, maybe buying like the one might not be the best investment. So that really kind of goes based on your own situation. The second thing that I ran into that I wasn't sure is the Ethernet port. Each puck has one in and one out Ethernet port, and one Google Wi-Fi router will already have one of its Ethernet ports taken up because it needs to connect to the modem. So you only have the out for that. And for me, I have that out kind of going directly to my computer because I don't want my computer to really be on Wi-Fi. I want it to try and get the full amount of speeds that it can all the time. For your other devices, I only have two more pucks, and they only have one Ethernet each. So that means that you have to buy a external or a switch for Ethernet ports in order to be able to get enough port for a lot of your different devices. So if you're used to connecting your game consoles, other computers, maybe whatever you have that needs to be directly inputted, like the Philips Hue hub, that has to be directly inputted to one of the pucks. That's already another one down for me. You're gonna run into the issue that you're not gonna have enough Ethernet ports for a lot of your different devices. And so that would add additional cost to the $130 or the $300 you already have to put out. So pretty much conclusion, the Google Wi-Fi worked for our needs. So we were able to actually gain a great benefit for using the Google Wi-Fi, and we had no reason to return it. It only has 1 gigabit at max, but a lot of people are not gonna be able to get past 1 gigabit internet. I really do feel like people who have bigger places are really gonna take advantage of being able to get a lot of pucks. Now on the box it said it can pretty much support up to 4,500, but I've known people who have around 6,000 square foot and still be able to use the Google Wi-Fi in a certain kind of range. So it might be able to do a little bit better than what's on the box, and that only just means good for you. And the Google Wi-Fi can support a lot of different devices simultaneously on and using in the internet. So I was able to test it with all 24 devices currently pulling in internet connection, and there was no slowdown. Everything worked, and it works out really good. Some devices didn't get all the megabits per second that I was hoping for, but they were able to get enough to make sure they're all functional, and I couldn't notice a difference when it came to any hiccups or anything like that. So that's it for the Google Wi-Fi, and thank you for watching. If you did like it, hit the like button, and if you're looking for your own tech consultant, anybody to help you with your tech purchase in the near future, please subscribe to the channel for more content. I also have a merch store of, this is not the shirt, but I got a plain black shirt. Just imagine the logo right here on top of it and you'll be good to go. With all that, thank you for watching, and hopefully everything that you saw today will help you make a better and more informed decision tomorrow.